In the quiet hours before dawn, violence often announces itself without warning. It slips into ordinary homes, into families that appear stable from the outside, and it leaves behind a trail of questions that no one wants to ask. When those questions point inward toward a child, toward a daughter, the shock deepens. This is one of those stories. A case where deception was carefully constructed, where lies were rehearsed and refined, and where a young woman believed she was smarter than the investigators standing in front of her. She believed she could control the narrative, outmaneuver the truth, and escape accountability. She was wrong. This is the story of a daughter who thought she could outsmart the police, and how, step by step, that illusion collapsed. The home sat on a quiet suburban street, the kind of place where nothing ever seems to happen. Neighbors waved politely. Lawns were trimmed. Families went to work, to school, and returned each evening believing they were safe. Inside that home lived a family known for discipline, structure, and high expectations. To the outside world, they were successful immigrants who had built a stable life through hard work and sacrifice. To their daughter, they were an obstacle. The daughter's name was Jennifer Pan. From an early age, Jennifer learned that achievement was not optional in her household. Her parents, Bich Ha Pan and Han Pan, had fled war, born Vietnam, and rebuilt their lives from nothing. Education, in their eyes, was the only acceptable path forward. Success was not encouraged, it was demanded. Grades mattered, reputation mattered, obedience mattered. Jennifer struggled to meet those expectations. As a child, she appeared compliant, even shy. She wanted approval. She wanted to be seen as capable and worthy. But behind that quiet exterior was growing anxiety and fear. Fear of disappointing her parents, fear of being exposed as not good enough, and eventually, fear of losing control of the image she had carefully crafted. When Jennifer began to fall behind academically, she did not admit it. Instead, she lied. At first, the lies were small, a missed assignment explained away, a test score concealed, but as time passed, the lies became structural. Jennifer told her parents she was excelling in school when she was not. She claimed she had been accepted into a prestigious university when she had not. She forged report cards, she created fake documents, she memorized false schedules, she learned to live two lives at once. For years, Jennifer woke up each day and performed the role of the perfect daughter. She pretended to attend classes she was no longer enrolled in. She spent her days in libraries and cafes, waiting for time to pass, rehearsing her stories, refining her deception. Every conversation with her parents was a performance, every question was a threat, and every lie raised the stakes. Jennifer knew that if the truth came out, everything would collapse: her parents' trust, their pride, her carefully constructed identity. The fear of exposure became overwhelming. Instead of confessing, instead of asking for help, Jennifer chose a darker path. She began to imagine a life without her parents' control. At the same time, Jennifer entered into a romantic relationship that her parents would never have approved of. They considered it a distraction, a danger to her future. When they discovered the relationship, they forbade it. They tightened their control. Jennifer was monitored closely. Her freedom was restricted. The pressure intensified. To Jennifer, her parents were no longer just authority figures. They were, in her mind, the barrier between her and the life she wanted. That is when the idea of escape transformed into something far more dangerous. Over time, Jennifer began communicating with individuals who would help her solve what she believed was her greatest problem. She did not see her parents as people anymore. She saw them as obstacles, and obstacles, in her thinking, could be removed. The plan that formed was calculated, deliberate, and chilling. On a November night, Jennifer waited in her bedroom as intruders entered her home. She would later tell police that she was awakened by gunshots, that masked men burst into the house, that she was tied up, threatened, and left alive by chance. Her parents, she said, were victims of a random home invasion. When police arrived at the scene, the violence was undeniable. Jennifer's mother was dead. Her father had been shot multiple times, but was still alive, clinging to life in a hospital bed. The house bore signs of forced entry. There was chaos, blood, and terror. Jennifer appeared traumatized. She cried, she shook, she spoke in a soft, broken voice. She told officers she had no idea who would want to harm her family. She played the role convincingly. To the first responders and initial investigators, she appeared to be another victim of a senseless crime. But as the investigation moved forward, cracks began to appear. Experienced detectives know that crime scenes tell stories. They speak through details, through inconsistencies, through what does not make sense, and this scene was speaking loudly. The intruders had bypassed valuable electronics. They had not ransacked the home. They had gone directly to the parents' bedroom. Jennifer, inexplicably, had been spared. Her bindings were loose. Her injuries were minimal. It did not look like a robbery gone wrong. It looked targeted. Detectives began to examine Jennifer's story more closely. They replayed her statements. They compared timelines. They listened not just to what she said, but how she said it. The emotional beats felt rehearsed. Certain details were emphasized too carefully. Other details were vague. Then came the phone records. Investigators uncovered a network of communication between Jennifer and several individuals connected to the attack. Messages that did not align with the story of random intruders. Conversations that revealed planning, coordination, and intent. Jennifer had not survived by luck. She had orchestrated the entire event. When confronted with the evidence, Jennifer initially denied everything. She maintained her innocence. She insisted the attackers had acted independently. She tried to redirect blame. She attempted to manipulate the narrative just as she had done for years inside her home. But this time, the lies could not hold. One by one, the co-conspirators were arrested, and one by one, they began to talk. They described meetings, payments, and instructions. They described Jennifer as the mastermind, the person who had provided access, schedules, and motivation. The person who had promised money in exchange for murder. The daughter who had once forged report cards had now forged a crime scene. As the case moved toward trial, the full scope of Jennifer's deception became clear. Prosecutors laid out years of lies, beginning with her academic failures and ending with the night her mother was killed. They painted a picture not of a sudden snap, but of a long, deliberate descent. Jennifer had believed she was smarter than everyone else. Smarter than her parents, smarter than the men she hired, smarter than the police. That belief was her undoing. In court, the emotional weight of the case was overwhelming. Jennifer's father, who survived the attack, testified against his own daughter. He spoke of betrayal beyond comprehension, of losing his wife at the hands of the child they had raised and protected. Jennifer showed little visible emotion. The jury did not take long to reach a verdict. Jennifer Pan was found guilty of first-degree murder and attempted murder. She was sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole for many years. The life she had tried to secure through violence was replaced with a lifetime behind bars. There was no freedom, no escape, no control, only consequences. This case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about pressure, about deception, about what happens when fear of failure turns into hatred and hatred turns into violence. It is a reminder that intelligence used without empathy becomes dangerous, that manipulation eventually collapses under the weight of truth. For the victim, Jennifer's mother, there is no justice that can restore what was taken. Her life was ended not by a stranger, but by someone she trusted completely. That is the deepest tragedy of all. For investigators, the case stands as an example of why patience, evidence, and experience matter. Lies can be convincing, performances can be polished, but facts do not lie, and for the rest of us, it is a sobering reminder: you cannot outsmart the truth forever. No matter how carefully you plan, no matter how intelligent you believe yourself to be, reality always catches up. In the end, the daughter who believed she could control everything lost everything instead. Silence replaced deception. Authority replaced manipulation, and the truth, quiet, persistent, and undeniable, stood firm. This has been a story of betrayal within a family, of crime born from fear and entitlement, and of a lie that grew too large to contain. A reminder that the most dangerous crimes often begin not with violence, but with a decision to deceive. And once that line is crossed, there may be no way back.